Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Between Sundays. Pastor?
Yeah.
How you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm wonderful. Thank you.
I'm doing well. Oh, you didn't ask me.
Oh, how are you, Bill?
Do you see how programmed our responses are?
Yeah, again, I apologize for not being intuitive enough and
Well, no, that's
being
not
sensitive
on you.
to the conversation.
I'm saying...
Are you sensitive this morning?
No. What
Okay.
I'm saying is, do you see how programmed I was to say I'm doing well?
Okay.
Like, you didn't ask me, which is, you don't have to ask me, and I'm not offended by that. I'm saying that I answered a question that you didn't even ask because we're so programmed.
Interesting.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's not what we're going to talk about today.
Mm-mm.
But it is a little wild. I've been talking to people like, you say, hey, how are you? And they're like, oh, I'm good. And then you leave and they're like, you're not good.
Yeah. So
like, we know you're not good.
Like when I see people and I don't want to ask that question because I don't know how I say, it's good to see you.
You're giving away your secrets.
Just telling you.
That's like Sunday morning lobby conversations.
Yeah. And again, it's good to see you. That's a true statement.
It's not untrue.
That's not untrue.
Yeah. That's great. See, so much wisdom. Because I'm like, hey, man, how are you doing? Tell me everything going on in your world right now. And I've got 2 minutes on the countdown to get to the stage. So if you could package that in about a minute, that'd be great. We always used to joke about a legend that used to go to our church named Johnny Sansom. You remember Brother Johnny?
Brother Johnny. God bless you, Brother Johnny.
Brother Johnny was the epitome of, he'd be playing keys, but before in pre-service. He'd be in every conversation you can imagine and look up in the middle of the countdown. It's like 3 seconds. And Brother Johnny would literally run through the sanctuary to get onto the platform to play. And so sometimes I find myself, but you've helped me today because I'm just going to say, hey, it's good to see you today.
It's good to see you today.
Man,
that's so true.
Well, listen, everybody, it's really good to see you today. Well, see, that doesn't work for this.
Because they can't see you.
They can't, and I can't see them. We're glad you've joined us today on this episode of Between Sundays. You know what? We never ask people to do something, and we rarely do, Austin. We rarely ask them to take a moment and share this episode or share something about this podcast, right? So, Austin, you don't have a mic, but just in your big boy voice right now, how can they share this podcast?
That's a great question.
Yeah, see, this is terrible. None of us are like on the up and up, which we're not like professional podcasters. We're just
just hacks.
Yeah. So I think is on Spotify they can hit the share button, send it through, right? They can do the same thing through Apple Podcasts. Is that right?
Maybe take a picture of it, put in a story.
Oh yeah, it's great. A screenshot. Let's see.
See,
you're so good. And then I think you can leave a review, like rate the podcast. Those things help. From what I hear, those things help. Just get it into the algorithm. People that you're connected with would be great, especially if you're a GPC member, because this podcast is designed specifically for the great, amazing people at Goodlettsville Pentecostal Church. And so we love doing this. We love providing this as a resource. As you always say, Pastor, we don't want to waste time. We don't want to just share information. We want to do things that add value to people's lives, and hope today is no different.
Absolutely. I think today's topic really affects all of us. This is something that is deeply personal. I think it's makes our lives richer, fuller, more meaningful. Truly a bunch of benefits on the other side if we get this subject right.
Yeah, and this is a game changer subject that you're going to talk about today. Yeah. I think it's a topic that people wrestle with in every season of life, right? And it's an important part of every season of life.
Absolutely.
There's some things that we'll jump into specifically about it, but I'm excited. I'm excited to dive into this, even in a conversation with you about this, because this is a subject that's important to both of us, even in different seasons of life, and how we navigate what we're going to talk about today is interesting even in different seasons of life, So
the subject we're going to talk about today is something that I don't know if I've just been curious about or something I've just really tried to put some time and energy into. I know it's meaningful to me, and that really is a subject of friendships.
Yeah.
And so our lives are marked by meaningful relationships in our lives. And the thought is, most people want meaningful friendships. Like I want meaningful friendships in my life. I want people to have meaningful relationships, friendships in their life. And that can become very complicated. And so I think this subject really touches a lot of people. No matter what season you are, this really does affect you.
Yeah, I agree. And seasons change, they come and go, things change. But in every season, friendships is an important part of that, right?
100%.
And so let's dive in. Let's dive into the. First of all, I love to always ask you. You bring these topics. We brainstorm about what we want to talk about. Why this? Like, why this conversation?
Yeah. So really, it just came to me. I was doing a leadership retreat for a church in Florida. And just, spending a weekend with this great team, great church, just a lot of positive things and great culture. And I got to a part of the lesson where I just talked about the need for friendships. Like, this is not optional. Friendships matter. And, just lingered there for a moment. After that session, I had a guy come to me and he said, I've been here for a very long time. I think it was over 20 years. He said, I've been in this church. I've been involved in leadership for a very long time. And he said, you know what? I don't have really meaningful friendships here.
Wow.
And just think about that. Investing, a volunteer leader. And again, I don't have really meaningful relationships here. That saddened me, okay? Took me back a little bit, but that is not uncommon. Again, to be clear, that happens in this church. I think it happens in a lot of places. And that conversation, that question, like, how do you have meaningful relationship? How do you gain? What does that look like? Really got me to thinking about, where do we talk about this? When has anybody ever talked about this with you? Like, when does people say, hey, is it a given? Is it just naturally supposed to take place? And yet there are so many people that would love more meaningful relationships in their life.
Yeah. And it's not it's not something that's automatic, right? Like,
Right.
It takes work, intentionality.
Sure.
And when you hear, as someone, this is the first time I've heard about, the reason why the story about the gentleman in Florida, or lady or gentleman, whatever it was. Your mind starts to go in all different directions. Like, why, you want to dive into that. Like, why, because there's never just one cause, right? Like, as to why you don't have friends. Like, there's probably a multitude of reasons, but the reality is you still want friends. Like, that person, whether they don't have friends because of their own issues, whatever,
Right.
What they want doesn't change. They still wanted friendship. And I think that's why this conversation is so important, because every person listening tonight, whenever they're listening, they also want, even if they say they don't, there's a deep longing inside of us for community, for connection, for friendship. And so I think that's why this is a very, very important topic. So, how do you, where do you want to jump in? How do you make friends? Like, I'm thinking of questions that people would ask, like, okay, well, I want friends. What do I do about that? How do you want to unpackage this?
So, part of me, when I begin to think about this, is one, I can't make people be friends. Like, as a pastor, if I had a magic wand, I say this in leading, that, I would bequeath you, I would grant you, just meaningful relationships in your life, because I do believe you need 5 friendships if you're going to last in this church. Yeah. Okay, I know friends have a plethora of different places, work friends, high school friends, college friends, just friends in the trade, whatever, church friends. But really, I would bequeath people in this church, in any church, 5 relationships that are meaningful. You need those relationships if you're going to last. It doesn't matter how much you love whatever. You can love the preaching, the singing, you can love the ministries, you can love all that they do for your family. But until you have connections that ground you, that keep you, that's when it really becomes true and deeper, and honestly has more fruit. And so, my spirit, it was saying, like, okay, yeah, friendship matters. It's a high calling. This is not a small deal. It's deeply biblical. Remember, the scripture that says, "He that hath friends must show himself friendly." Right. And so there's some precedent there. There's some spiritual, understanding there as well. But honestly, friendship is what matters the most. So when I look at this, it's not like, well, maybe you get to a point where you all have all the friends you need. Okay. So I was speaking to a group of ministers, and And I caught on this subject again. I just touch it because it's important to me, and I talked about the need of having friendships. After that meeting, I had a pastor come to me, and he said, "When you started talking about having friendships in your life, my wife and I looked at each other and said, we need friends in our life."
Wow.
Okay, here's a pastor. You would think, man, you have all the relationship opportunities you would want. But yet there was something there that they just didn't, they did not have whatever it takes, or people, whatever their thought process, whatever was hindering, they would recognize, man, we're just not in a place where we have the friendships that we need. We ache for more friendships in our lives.
Do you think this is like the two examples you've given so far are church leadership?
Sure, right.
And again, our audience is broad here. We're hitting everybody.
Right.
Some people listening are obviously in leadership in our church in some capacity. Yeah. Others may not see themselves, as leaders or as serving in an official leadership capacity at our church. But why is it that, specifically on this church leadership side, why do you think that's such a common issue?
Yeah.
Or challenge?
I don't think it's just my realm that I'm in. Okay. It's just in the places that I'm at.
Sure.
I think loneliness is a real issue globally. Okay. I mean, there's been a lot of studies now, social science now, data now that, man, just anywhere globally, there is just an epidemic of loneliness that is coming. Again, you can talk about technology. Technology is not really helping relationships build. But let me give you some things. In studying, preparing, there's some stats that I came across that I thought was interesting. For instance, like 1 out of every 4 Americans say they are always lonely or lack friends. 1 out of 4, 25%.
Wow.
Okay. Just they wish they had more friends. They're always lonely. 50% would say no one knows them well. No one knows them well. 50% of Americans say no one would know them well. And then get this, globally, more than 500,000 people under 40 haven't left their house in 6 months in Japan. Okay.
Wow.
These are things, not just here, not just you. This is a global epidemic that I think really affects your happiness, your psyche, your emotional health, your spiritual well-being. Like there's no good end in loneliness. And so, at some point, there needs to be a declaration of war on loneliness, right? Like we need to talk about that. Maybe that's why this conversation to me is meaningful. I've never really had a conversation. We've not put it on podcast. I don't think I've ever done a lesson on strictly friendships. Okay. Yeah. I weave it in and do some leadership talks I do,
right.
But never just let's talk about, let's unpackage this. Let's see what this is, because here's the bottom line. Research from the field of science of happiness states this: the combination of physical, the physical harmony of relationship, in other words, friendship, and being a part of something bigger. These are key elements for a greater sense of happiness.
Wow.
Like friendships and having a part of me that's part of something bigger. Those are key ingredients for a true sense of happiness. This is not just church world. This is just humanity. So I think the need is there. I think a church space, if anything we do well, we should do this well.
Yeah. I heard something recently, just in the topic of friendship, that really a lot, like loneliness is usually produced because there's not a great understanding of how friendships change through time, through seasons, right?
Yep.
So sometimes the loneliness is basically is a byproduct of not having that full understanding. And when you think about friendships, like go all the way back to when we were kids, right? Friendships were way easier when you were a kid, right? Like it felt more natural, more simple,
sure,
because of that season of your life. And rightfully so. Friends, you were friends with people in your class. You were with them every day. Yeah. You sat beside them. Friends with people on your sports team. Basically, that season of your life, your family, your parents put you in environments that were natural spots to create friendships. And then once you get out of like high school or out of college, things are different, right? Things change drastically. And one person called it like there's a scattering that happens.
Yeah.
When I heard that word, it was like, that makes so much sense, right? Because You think of all the people who are, they're loosely connected, maybe to people they went to college with, but it's just, you hear them say, it's just not the same. The relationship's not, not the same. And what I was reading said was that friendship moves from a group activity to an individual sport.
Oh, wow.
Which is like you're not, it's so much easier because you are in a group of people that's just, it's a natural, friendship becomes so much easier. And so what they said is that anytime your life changes, anytime a season changes, there is a scattering that happens.
Wow.
The great scattering, right? And so
that's so good.
What they were saying is that you have to start to become more flexible and stop taking everything so personal in those. Loneliness happens when you don't understand what's really happening. You start to take things personal. Like, well, nobody wants to invite me over anymore because of X, Y, and Z, or, they don't want to be friends anymore because of X, Y, Z. And it's like, no, seasons, things change, right? And
so
that
good.
Loneliness is just a byproduct of maybe not all the time.
Right. No, I get it.
There's multiple factors to loneliness.
Absolutely.
But potentially in the realm of friendship, let's not ignore the fact that it could just simply be a misunderstanding of this reality that it just has to change things change over time. Yeah.
And the idea that the scattering, I love that thought. Okay. I've never heard it like that, but there's a lot of truth to that different seasons of your life. Again, you're always engaging other people or other groups, right?
Yeah.
And so the thought is, there's been a lot of great research, and I'll tell you where I got this from. There's a book by Carey Nieuwhof called At Your Best. So he really began to do a breakdown of how many friendships can you actually have? Like, what does that look like? Okay. So there was a guy that he quotes. He's a British anthropologist and psychologist, Robin Dunbar. And he said the number of relationships you can have is not just a matter of preference or willingness. He said it really has limitations of a cognitive process, meaning we're hardwired. We can only manage so many relationships. And so he breaks down these relationships into groups. So he says there is an inner group, about 3 to 5 people that you really have a close, intimate relationship. That's sometimes your family or some very near and dear people. Those are about 5 people. On the next circle would be anywhere between 12 and 15 people. And he would call this your sympathy group. He said, friends you connect with at least once a month who share your values, your interests, and often perspective of life. But these people are really people close. What I love of what Carey Nieuwhof does is he says, where these people are by how you respond to them when they call or text or reach out to you. Wow. So if your wife calls, you're going to pick that up quick. That's an intimate group. Yeah. If somebody calls you and you said, I'll get back with them today, they're probably not on that intimate group. There's some people that can get a hold of you anytime, anywhere, any place, right? And they're that close to you. There's others like, hey, I'll get back to them when I can. They're probably not. This is not being rude. It's intuitive. Like your mind, your brain, you can only handle so many really close friendships. And then he said, you pull that circle out into, let's say, a number of about 150. This would be called your tribe or really your network. And 150 comes from, he said, through history, like villages and these small medieval towns, and really around 150. But that number really maintains today. Like churches rarely grow beyond 150. Again, the average church is 80. Companies, when they get about 150, have to start breaking off in departments. Like there is something significant that happens at the 150 mark, okay? When you think of Christmas cards, that if you do that, okay, there's probably about 150 or less people that you send a Christmas card to. Yeah. If you're inviting them to a wedding, right? There's that network of people. And these people you probably reach every once in a while or at least once a year, right? But it's about 150 for all of us. This is research. This is some scientific data here that helps us understand. No, we're all in this same thing together. We all have these circles of friendships that still affect our lives today. So when I begin to think about that, even Jesus demonstrated this. Yeah. Okay, so Jesus obviously had crowds, right? Thousands. But his social traveling was between 70 and 120 people. We know these numbers through Scripture, but personal relationship is still that 12 to 15. It's the disciples. right? And even in the disciples, there was still that intimate of three, okay?
Yeah,
You can even take it to one, right?
Yeah.
But Jesus demonstrated, he's God in flesh, how many relationships he can handle. And it really began to think, wow, it's not like, do I have a personality or I have enough charismatic, traits, or I'm just have more bandwidth to handle friends. Here's what Dunbar says. Anytime somebody moves into those circles, somebody has to move out. So when you think of the scattering, okay, there used to be a group of people, let's say your high school friends, but somebody moved in that circle and one of those high school friends moved out.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Because it's still in the scattering and still in the circle, it's still that 3 to 5 people that are the intimate, close friends in your life. And those 5, you've probably heard the statement, if you can count 5 close friends, you're a very wealthy individual. That is so, so true.
Yeah, I think people listen to this, it has to be almost liberating, right? To begin to put language around.
Understanding?
Yeah, because it's naturally there, right? Like I'm saying all of this through time, you're proving through time, this has sort of just been naturally there. This is the way it goes. And so now, like, helping people to understand that, there's going to be around 5 people in your life, right? That you're probably not going to grow beyond, because there's some people, I think they maybe feel like they can handle 20 best friends. I don't know I don't think that's real.
I don't think it's possible.
I don't think it's possible, right? And so I think why I'm saying this is liberating is because it almost gives you permission to focus on that small network of friends and understanding where each group fits, because they all have purpose. They're all
meaningful.
Absolutely.
They all have value.
Right. To the tribe. Like you need a tribe. In the darkest times of your life, a tribe will show up and fight for you and be with 100%, you, right? Now, 100%. They may not sit at your table.
Right.
They may not sit in your house, right? But they're with you, right? They're with you. I think that's so liberating, the language around that.
Yeah. Again, it gave me insight. Like, you're wondering like how many friendships, what is right? What is healthy? What is good? Because you're if you don't have language like that or insight, you may feel like the tension of why isn't this friendship working, or why can't it, like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And honestly, cognitively, we're not equipped. We're not able to handle those close relationships outside of these circles, these actual numbers that have been proven over and over and over again.
Yeah, I heard recently just on that. Because we're about to jump into how we're going to get into how do you make friends?
Yeah.
But before we get into that, just heard something about three pillars of friendship, and it was proximity, timing, and energy. And this person was talking about that one of the number one factors of a friendship is proximity, right? And you take this back to your 5 people, those people that you are spending the most time with, you're around more. That's how they become your 5. And they quoted some MIT research that said it's the most important factor in friendship is proximity. And then there's a study that the University of Kansas did that it says it takes 50 hours of time with another person to become casual friends. Think about these numbers, 50 hours to become casual friends, 90 hours before you would say, I consider them to be a friend. And it takes 200 hours of time together for them to become a close friend. Like that, the proximity, being around people. Like some people are lonely because they don't leave the house. They don't put themselves out there. They don't spend time with anybody, right? It's going to take time. It's going to take getting proximate. There was another research about a police academy. They said that a police academy was researching, why do people who come in through our academy, why do they choose the friends that they do, right? Because, you go through a thing, and what was naturally happening was that people who had close proximity to the alphabet of their last name starting similarly became friends. Well, why? Because they lined them up by their last name.
Wow.
And it proves over and over again that proximity, who you're spending time close with, those are going to become, it's a higher probability that those become your friends. And this is why it's so hard as adults, because proximity changes. Life gets crazy. As your family grows, like who you're spending time with changes. So that was one of the pillars. The other was just timing, right? Like you may like the people that you work with, but sometimes the timing of your life is not the same. Like the routines are not like, for example, even right here, let's just bring it right here to GPC. We have several of us on staff that I would say are good friends. Like we love each other. But it's not like we spend exorbitant amount of time outside of work, right? It's not that we don't like each other.
Right.
It's the timing, different seasons of life, different ebbs and flows, right? And that's okay.
Yes, and again, I think having insight like this removes any like guilt or shame or like, is there something going on? It's like,
that's exactly
right. Well, no, I'm at 4 weeks of practice, 4 days every week, right? Well, that's great. That's a great season. Like, have fun. You and I have had this conversation, right? Like, have a great time. It's a season. Like, enjoy it, right? Yeah. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, that's not my season right now,
right?
But so I think having language and understanding. But timing, it does matter. Yeah, any friendship that's going to be invested, it does take time to invest in that relationship.
And then just quick, that last pillar, they said that the first two you're not in control of. Like but this last one is the one you control, and that's energy. And so essentially what they're saying is, once the energy feels off, don't force it. It's okay. Like, it's genuinely okay. Like when it doesn't feel natural anymore or easy anymore, it's fine. Like genuine. Don't take it personal. Like don't it just, things change over time, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that they're bad people. It just means that things may be a little off or different, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's so good.
I genuinely think where people, all of us in times, get hung up in is we don't know how to transition from season to season. In this conversation, maybe from friendship to friendship, right? And I think that's the language that we're trying to give people today, is helping them, because if you don't handle the scattering, the changes, the seasons, your next season, that's why people live stuck in the past, because they don't embrace what's next. Wow. They get hung up and they live on looking in the rearview mirror and celebrating all the accomplishments of before, all the friendships they used to have. We've heard, I'll just use men for a minute, who talk about their buddies in high school. And it's like, but they have no friends right now. Yeah. But they talk about all the buddies they had, out back in the day on my squad, whatever. I think it's important that we move well from season, and energy is what's guiding you.
That is
people.
So good. That the energy. I mean, and think of it like this: like the friendships that you are investing in, that takes energy.
Absolutely.
Whether it's celebrating a birthday or just celebrating a win for them, that is energy that is needful for that relationship. And sometimes, honestly, trying to be a better friend, I put it on me like, what am I doing for the friends in my life? That not because there's an occasion or not because I have to, but just because you're my friend. And I want to just let you know, it can be a text, it can be a call, a card, it could be all those kind of things, But I think energy is absolutely important part of the pillars for sure. That's so good.
Yeah. And there's going to be friendships, and we're about to jump into some meat real quick about how to make friends, because you have some great stuff here. You've experienced this, I've experienced this, where you've had friends in the past that you were close to, but things change, right? Maybe months or years go by. Maybe they move away. Proximity changes. Sure. And so it's just not the same, right? But then you see them, let's just say at a conference or an event, or you run into them, and it's like, I mean, you're right. Like you were right back there. Like that's so special. Now, where we could get hung up on is like, we can lament that we can't have that all the time with them, with that, right? Versus it's just the natural part of life that seasons, proximity, energy, all of that changes, and that's okay. Don't don't get so stuck looking in the rearview mirror that you miss like what's right now or what's ahead of you, I think is the whole point of this. So how do you, for someone listening, they're like, man, this is good stuff. But what do I do?
Yeah.
Like we want these things to be actionable. How does somebody make friends? There's so many great resources out there. What would you tell somebody that says, okay, I believe everything you're telling me. What do I do?
Yeah, how do I get better at this? Okay, so years ago, there's a famed book called "How to Win Friends and Influence People" by Dale Carnegie. I read that when I was in my late teens. Okay, just it was so meaningful. It's still,
legendary.
Book,
yeah.
It really is. Okay, and the principles there are so true because they're human connections. Okay, and so distilling them down just real quickly, because if you've not read that book, I would just strongly recommend you read the book. Anything helps you brush up on your skills, again, is so important. But he talks about a couple of things that I think are bedrock and what it means to how to have friends. Like, well, how do I do that? So number one, he talks about show genuine interest in others. Like people appreciate when you show a sincere curiosity about their lives and their opinions. When you're interested in who they are, you're not just talking about you. You're really just trying to dig into who they are. Questions and answer, asking thoughts and ideas that just are for them, right? You're trying to highlight them. It is a key part of what I would say building friendships.
Yeah, that this would probably be one of the greatest, if we look at the antithesis of this.
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons why people don't have friends. I think we talked a little bit about self-awareness, at one point, but this right here where people feel lonely or that they don't have friends because they're not starting right here, showing it. They're so interested in themselves. They get in a conversation and they want to tell everybody about all the amazing things going on in their life. They suck the air out of the room, right? And you look around and everybody's just wide-eyed, like we just sat through a seminar with this person.
Yeah.
You're not going to get good friends. You're going to have, you may have a tribe of people who are like, yeah, he's in our tribe. You're not sitting at tables.
Yeah. And again, there's a cost to not doing this well.
Yeah.
He says, number two, he says, remember the use of people's names. Like the sweetest sound to anybody is the mention and to hear their names.
Yeah.
And to remember names is just so important. It's such a class act, right? Yeah. And just, I think that embodes well with people's emotions. 3, he says, avoid criticism or complaints. Like nobody wants to be around people that are always just negative and critical and sharing complaints and problems. Like at some point, you need to avoid that. That doesn't mean you're not real, and that doesn't mean that your head's stuck in the sand. Doesn't mean that you're living in an unreal world.
Yeah.
It just means that that's not what we're going to talk about at first. Yeah. That's not going to be the leading thing of our conversation. Yeah. He talks about giving honest and sincere appreciation. I love this one. Okay, but really trying to find ways to really and truly give honest and sincere appreciation. And a way to do that is be as specific as you can. Yeah. Like not, hey, just great job, or not, hey, man, you did that really well. But specifically what the benefits were, what it did to you, how did you feel, what did you sense? Like you're really, really sharing them, appreciate how important it is to look people in the eye and say, hey, thank you. Thank you for doing that. Thank you. Just goes a long, long way. Yeah.
As you're saying this, I'm thinking of people in my life,
sure.
And honestly, again, at the risk of sounding like, just buttering you up. Like you are so good at this. Like you're really good. I can think of multiple scenarios where you give compliments, whether it's to me or I hear you give compliments, and you're very specific, right? So that's something that you do really well. I think of another person, if I go back to number 2 about remembering people's names. I have a friend in my life that he does this all the time. And honestly, for me, I'm like, bro, I know what you're doing. This is so annoying. Just call me bro. Like, you don't have to say my name 100 times. Like, we're friends now, right? You don't have to keep using my first name.
We're past the 200 hours. Yeah.
Bro, way past 200. Yeah. Like, let's, you can just call me crazy. You can call me whatever you want. Yeah. We're good. But I've watched that. I've watched that effect in other scenarios where, this person will use somebody's first name in a new conversation with somebody, and the way they approach it is just so different. So these are definitely a high quality. What's number 5?
Number 5 is talk about the interest of others. I know this is related to number 1, but you're focusing on subjects that matter to the other person. I mean, whether it's the sports their kids are in, whether it's the new hobby, maybe, so a way that I've tried to do this is just say, hey, what are you excited about? Right? Like what's got your attention? What are you focusing on right now? Trying to just understand and get into someone's heart or spirit. Just what's your interest? What's really motivating you right now? It's a great way to just let people know, hey, they care about me, what my world is like. So yeah, I think that's a fantastic one.
Yeah, that's great. 2 more.
Okay.
2 more. Number 6.
Yeah, number 6 is let others feel ownership of ideas. Encourage others to share their opinions and take credit for ideas. That goes a long way when people feel like they're contributing, and they're recognized for their contribution, they're recognized for their ideas, solution. That just goes a long way. If you're stealing people's ideas and, taking it as your own, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm notorious for stealing my wife's jokes, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean that she got the best ones, right? And so, but when I don't give her credit, it just doesn't bode well.
Right.
So it's a hard lesson.
It dings the friendship.
This is where I'm stuck at. Okay, yeah, this is talking to myself right now, right? And so, yeah, but when you can say, "Hey, that's your idea," man, that went a long way, right? So,
yeah, it's interestingly enough, I was texting your son Tanner a couple of days ago, and we were just texting back and forth, and somehow the conversation came up about a good thought or something that one of us had seen in the Bible, and I said, "Listen, whatever you do, don't tell your dad." Like, don't tell your dad this good thought, because he's notorious for taking whatever you share with him that's like revelation, and he will preach the fire out of that and not even give you any credit for it.
Listen, you are so far the pass off that idea.
Yeah, don't do it.
Yeah. I may say, I heard a person say.
Somebody once.
I was praying about
The Lord dropped this in my spirit.
I don't know where it came from, a little bird, but yeah, you are so far removed from that thought.
Oh, that's so funny. All right, one more. What's number 7?
And I think, Billy, I think you are really, really good at this, is just a smile and maintain a positive attitude. That's just goes a long way of being pleasant, being a person that just brings peace, not an anxious individual, right? Not somebody that's nervous, but just bringing a calm assurance is so helpful in building, camaraderie, building trust, building the friendships. And so those are just some. I'm going to strongly recommend read the book.
Yeah.
These are strong things about how to build friendships.
What's interesting is whenever you look at these 7, and the question that we're answering is, how do you make friends? And Dale Carnegie in his book is answering that.
Yeah.
So the opposite is true. If you don't want to make friends, do the opposite of these. Yeah. And honestly, like
100%,
I would say one of the best things someone could do is if you're struggling with friendship, read through these and give yourself a grade. Like, how am I doing on showing genuine interest? Like, think through your conversations.
Yeah.
Like if your conversations are full of you, right? Well, you're probably not doing a great job of making friends. If you can't remember anybody's name, because
or their interests,
look
what's going on in their life,
right? If what I love about this list is if you really break it down, it's all outward. It's not about you.
Yeah.
And go back to loneliness, go back to not having friends. That's why I said even in the first, I have no idea the people that you were talking about, but it genuinely makes you wonder, could there be some self-examination that needs to happen, right?
Right.
That says, well, let's talk about why you haven't made friends, and could it be that some of these 7 you're not doing a great job on because of X, Y, whatever it is. I think that's the big thing. I'm a big go stand in front of a mirror guy when you have a problem, and start there, right? That's where you can control more than everybody else. So, if you're listening to this and you're like, hey, I don't know how to make friends. I can't do it. I'm struggling. Start in the mirror and run through the things that we've talked about and ask, hey, are these some areas that I'm not knocking it out, the park on? And start there. Like, start making small changes to be more outward focused to make friends.
Imagine if you can create a church where a high majority of people embrace the idea that, you know what, I need friends. I want to be a good friend. Yeah. And I'm going to do the hard work of making that happen, right? Imagine the environment, the culture. And I do pray that happens. I realize that God sends a lot of people that weren't raised with functional relationships, who didn't have a role model of how that really transpires. And again, trying to heal up or get better. And we got a lot of work to do. Leaders have a lot of work to do. And that's why this subject matters. You can look at it and say, that's not paying my car payment today, but I promise you, if you get better in this area, almost every area of your life gets better. Your home gets better. Your marriage gets better. Friendships get better. There's a lot of wins there. The kingdom of God gets better. Yeah. When we have a church that people that are cognitive and aware of friendships and small groups and
absolutely
having people that you're together with, they know you, you know them, you know their hurts, you know their pain, you know their struggle. You're praying with them, but they're your friends.
Yeah,
you care about them, and if God has blessed us with anyone, I mean us, I would say Julie and I. Is we have some really, really dear, close friends. Yeah. And I remember reading something that said something like this. He said, if I'm going to give you 25 wisdom, like this is an older person that said, hey, I'm going to help this younger generation. Okay, so if I'm going to give you some bit of advice. One of those advice was this. He said, choose a few awesome friends and stick with them. Again, to your point, friendships can be confusing in your 20s, 30s, and 40s. Friendship circles change when you leave school, get married, or even change jobs. In the midst of all that change, find a few friends and stick with them for life. Most people can only handle 5. Again, this is just research, compounding, layering on one another. Most people can only handle 5 really close friendships in their life. Choose those 5 well and build into those relationships deeply. Like, just think of those last words, like choose those 5 well and build in those relationships deeply. Man, those is what life brings so much joy and so much contentment, so much purpose, so much meaning. It really does make a difference.
Yeah, so that's so good. And again, the intentionality around that language is so important.
Absolutely.
Right? Like the biblical example you shared earlier that, if you want friends, go back to you.
Yep.
Show yourself friendly.
Yep.
I think we owe it to ourselves to take this seriously, right? I think about what you said about friendships in the church. I'm convinced that thriving churches, they have great leaders, they have great systems, but what sustains all of that, I think they have hacked great community. Great friendships, right? This is why small groups are so important to us, right? Plug for small groups here, and you mentioned that. Small groups is a way for us to create an opportunity. You said, I can't force anybody to be friends.
Can't do it.
All I can do is create environment and opportunity. We'll use proximity. Yeah. Small groups is a great way for you to get proximate with a group of people and see, go back to the energy, if there's some natural energy there, if you have some like interests, if you feel a connection there, and then explore that and start to invest time and intentionality, right? And I even love this last thing that you shared, that yes, seasons change. Some of the best friends in your life right now have been a part of your life for
decades,
many years, many years, back to Bible college, back to church, like, growing up in the same church, like that is so, I tell you all the time, like, God give me, when I'm your age, when I get to be your age.
You act like I'm ancient.
When I'm in your seat, when I'm there, like, I want to know I've got those close friends. Yeah. You call them vacation friends, right? You got friends, and then you got vacation friends.
You got friends and then traveling friends.
Traveling friends, that's right. Like, that's so special. And I see in your life, in Sister Zuniga's life, the enrichment, the benefit, the fulfillment of that. And that shouldn't just be unique to you guys. That's you want that for everybody. And I love that so much.
Yeah. Again, I do hope something that we've shared today really just sparks something inside you to either invest in friendships that you have. Like, today would be a great opportunity to reach out and just say, hey, I appreciate your friendship, and why. Yeah. Like, what value you bring. There are many withering friendships that you get neglected, right? They're perishing. And so this is a time to say, no, I need friends. This is right. Heaven's going to be better with my friends. Yeah. I promise you. Yeah. And so again, a statement that I said earlier on, friends are not optional. They're essential.
Essential.
Yeah. You've got to have them.
I want to leave everybody with this quote that I heard about friendships that is kind of going to become an anchor. It says your greatest friendships are ahead of you, not behind you. Like don't get hung up on reflecting and lamenting. Like God's way bigger than that. First of all, if this is a I do believe this is a spiritual thing. You need a core group of people. Jesus himself, you said, modeled that. So if that is a positive spiritual component of this walk, then God will put the right people in your life that will strengthen you, that will, it's a biblical word, edify, lift you up, build you up, right? That you can genuinely do life with, that can stand the test of time and seasons and change and all of that. So your greatest friendships are ahead of you, not behind you. Pastor, this is amazing. I hope every person takes this. I guarantee you, not a single person that listens to this would not be able to say, man, this is something I crave, I want, I need. Yeah. And so thank you for sharing that. Let's wrap up with our volunteer. I almost said our volunteer of the year. Man, I'm telling you, after all of these, I think this is episode 87 maybe. I still botch this part, favorite volunteer, can't say that. Volunteer of the year, that's not the thing, Austin. This is one of our favorite volunteers' favorite verse. Is that better?
Yeah, and again, I don't blame you for that because we have amazing, incredible volunteers.
Yeah.
And they are the secret sauce of this church. They have embraced a culture of loving God, loving people, right? Creating a culture of health. Yeah. And that really does matter. And so I value each and every one of them. And so if you're a member of Goodlettsville Pentecostal Church, bless you. I'm so grateful for your contribution. We're better because of you. And I think one of the long-term members of this church that probably is right and fitting, that is a friend of this church, and a friend to so many, and really, he exemplifies this, is a great man named Ben Alexander. So Ben, I honor you today. He's a small group leader, right?
Yes, he is.
He is a guy that cares for people. He's led for a long time care ministry as far as just helping people with needs and situations, but been a board member, right? Just been part of a lot of ministries in this church. Yeah. But again, I honor him. He's been in this church for longer than I've been in this church, and been just so grateful for your love, for your friendship, the laughs you bring so many of us, the strength you give, just the heart. Just can go on. But your favorite verse is Philippians 4:13, and it reads, again, it's the famed verse, but it's so important. I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. And Ben, just honor you today. Thank you for all you do for our church.
Well, we call him, some people who know him call him Bish.
Bish.
Yeah. And so, Ben, we love you, buddy. We appreciate you. You're right. Like a pillar of the church.
100%.
And we're thankful for you and your influence. Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of Between Sundays. We will catch you next time.